Whenever I see under new management banners or signs on a restaurant or on a hotel, in some kind of business, I always assume that things are going to get better. I always assume that they brought in a person that's just a ringer. That's the person that knows what they're doing, and they're going to take this place to the next level. It's going to be good. It's going to be awesome. Things are just going to be for the better. But then I start thinking, well, but how bad was it before? You know, if it's a restaurant, I'm like, man, was it cockroaches? You know, what was it going on if they had to bring a new manager in? I think about a hotel, I'm like, man, was it dirty sheets? Did I sleep in that hotel? But then my mind goes back and I go, no. It's under new management. That means they want this place to be the best that it possibly can be. I don't know where your thoughts go when you see that banner, but that's where mine go. Well, we're going to start this new series today called Under New Management. And what I want us to do is I want to look at all of the things that God blesses us with. All of the money that He gives us, the resources, our lives, the people around us, everything that we have. And I want us to make sure that we are managing them in the way that He would have us to manage it. And you may think you're doing a pretty good job, and you might be, and man, I applaud you for that. But maybe you'll find that you're struggling just a bit, that you're having some things that you're really struggling to put in the proper place and to have your priorities right. And so we're hoping this idea of under new management will help take us to that place where we're better, where we're strong, doing the very best that we can do. So I'm going to give you the one thing I want you to remember, and I'm going to give that to you right here at the very beginning, but that doesn't mean that we're done and you stop listening. I'm going to tell it to you, and I'm going to say it over and over because I think this is the foundational thing that we've got to understand if we're going to be able to manage what God has given us. And it's simply this: I'm a manager, not an owner. Okay? Can you guys handle that? I am a manager, not an owner. And that's it. That's the foundation. That's what we've got to get figured out right here at the very beginning. So I'm going to go ahead and tell you, we've got to do the last part before we can do the first part. We're going to have to talk about the owner before we can talk about being managers. So you probably know this. It's a very churchy kind of thing to say, but the first thing is God is the owner. God owns everything. Now, you read it already, but I want you to go back to it. Would you go back to 1 Chronicles 29? Okay, 1 Chronicles 29. I want to read that again. Because what we've got to understand is, when it comes to our stuff, when it comes to our things, when it comes to our possessions, those things compete with the Lord for control in our lives. Okay, it's the stuff in our lives that really competes for control. And actually, how we handle those things impacts our fellowship with the Lord. And you may not think about that. You may go, come on, Tim, my stuff, my things, my money, my job, none of that affects my fellowship with God, but it really does. Because if you're managing it well, then you're going to have a good relationship with God. If you're not managing it well, then you're going to have a tough time going to God and talking to Him, because you'll think, I'm asking too much, or I'm not asking enough. And so you got to get all that part figured out. So if we can figure out and understand that God is the owner, that's going to get us started the right way. Now, let me give you a little bit of background for 1 Chronicles 29. David wanted to build a house for God. He wanted to build God a temple. And that was the desire of his heart, but God said to him, listen, you're a man of war. And because you're a man of war, you're not the one that needs to build a house for me, but I'll let your son do that. And so David knew that his son Solomon was going to be the next king after him, and so he wanted to get everything prepared and ready so that when Solomon stepped in, he could build this temple, this home for God. So David started off by giving just an unbelievable amount of gold and silver, bronze, anything that they needed in order to construct the temple. He had it, David gave it in huge quantities. Then he went to the people and he said, listen, I need you to give. We're going to build a temple for God, a home for God, and so we need you to come and we need you to give. And starting with the leaders right down to the people, they began to give. And they gave so much that it blew David's mind. He's like, wow, you guys are so generous. And how was it that they were able to be so generous that they had more than what they even needed? Well, he shows it to you in a prayer in 1 Chronicles 29. Look at verse 11 again. Yours, Lord, is the greatness and the power and the glory and the majesty and the splendor. For everything in heaven and earth is yours. What's God's? Everything. Yours, Lord, is the kingdom. You are exalted as head over all. Wealth and honor come from you. You are the ruler of all things. In your hands are strength and power to exalt and give strength to all. Now, our God, we give you thanks and praise your glorious name. If you were to continue reading in there, and you continue reading that chapter, you'll see that David says, God, the only reason we have it to give is because you give to us. You own everything. It all belongs to you. And yet, out of your goodness, you give to us. And now we have the ability to give, but it's because of you. Because you own it all. And that's something that you and I have to come to grips with. Is that God is the owner. We're not. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't go to the IRS for advice very often. But there was an IRS auditor that had a great thing to say. He said, the trick is to stop thinking of it as your money. It sounds like IRS-ish, doesn't it? The way you figure this whole thing out about taxes and all that is to just realize it's not your money. And you and I need to understand that our money doesn't belong to us. Our stuff, our resources, not even our own lives belong to us. They belong to God. And the sooner we realize that, the sooner we're okay with parting with those things, the better off we're going to be. You see, because God is the owner. Jesus talked about it. He talked about it in Luke when he said, if you're not willing to give up everything, you can't be my disciple. And that's a hard verse, isn't it? If we take that literally, which I believe we take the words of Jesus literally, he said, if you're not willing to give up everything, if there's something you're holding on to, you're going, Jesus, you can have this and this and this, but you can't have this, then you can't be Jesus' disciple. If there's anything that's more important to us, whether it's money or stuff or resources or a job or even another person, if they're more important than Jesus, then we can't be Jesus' disciple. Jesus said, you got to be willing to give up everything. And then we realize that we don't own it, it makes it easier to give up. It's not mine in the first place, and so I'm not going to let that come between me and a relationship with God. So, God is the owner. And if God is the owner, then what does that make us? Managers. See, I'm a manager, not an owner. You and I are managers. We're supposed to manage the things that God has given to us. Now, Gary Collins, he's a stockbroker. He helps manage people's money. It's not his money. Okay, if it was, man, we would all be good. All right, because he'd share with everybody. But it's not his. But what people do is they say, here, we're going to give you our money, and we want you to do the best you can for us. We want you to take our money, we want you to make us more money. And so Gary does the very best that he can to invest that so that people get money back, that they get a return for what they entrust to him. But it's not his. He's just managing that for other people. That's what you and I do. Think of it this way. Just think of it like God is letting you borrow the things that you have. All right, the things that you and I have in our lives, God has loaned those to us. Now, I don't know about you, but when I borrow something, I try to return it in at least as good a condition as I borrowed it, or if I can, I try to return it in better condition. If I borrow a lawnmower, it's going to be full of gas, whether it was full of gas when I got it back or not. If I borrow something from my father-in-law, Linwood, I'm going to make sure that that thing goes back to him in pristine condition. It wasn't always that way. Man, when I was a kid, I can remember asking my dad to borrow tools. Every dad in here knows this. I asked him to borrow tools. Need to work on my bike, need to work on my skateboard, whatever it was. And he would say, okay, you go ahead and use my tools, but be careful with them and put them back. In one ear, right out there. Because the garage would be, the floor would be covered with tools. They wouldn't get back where they were supposed to be. If I used them outside, a lot of times I left them outside. They got rained on, they got rusted, they got messed up. And it took me a long time to figure out, that's not right. Because it's not your stuff. You're borrowing it, so you need to start giving it back. So I've apologized to my dad many times for that. And so I've tried to be better, well, until I got in college. It wasn't on purpose. It just kind of snuck up on me. I had a good friend. He worked for the college. His name was Chuck. Chuck had an apartment on campus. We used to go up and we'd hang out with him, eat pizza, watch movies. I know I was supposed to be studying, but we did study. But we just hung out together. I had a great time with him. Well, he came back from a trip one time and had bought a brand new 1986 Mustang GT 5.0. 5-speed. And you know the sound those Mustangs have, you know what I'm talking about? Oh, that thing ground. Oh, it was so nice. And so when he got home, he's like, dude, we got to go cruise. And I'm like, yes, sir. So we went out and had the windows down. And when you ride in a nice car like that, if you see somebody you know, you don't wait. You know, you do the head nod. Or maybe just raise a finger. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to, because you're cool. And you're in that kind of car. So whenever we got to cruise in that car, I was like, man, this is so awesome. Chicks are looking at us. You know, this is great. Well, he left for a weekend. He left on a Thursday. He was coming back on Sunday night. And he told me, he said, here, I'm going to give you the keys to my car. Because Chuck knew I didn't have a car. And so anytime I needed to go anywhere, I had to beg, borrow, I had to just get somebody to take me or whatever. He said, so you can use my car if you want to. So in my mind, I'm thinking, no, not a remote possibility I will ever drive this car when you're not here. He let me drive it before, but he was always with me. And I was like, no, not going to happen. Well, he left Thursday morning. And then we had a volleyball game Thursday night. And then I thought, what cooler thing to do than drive the Mustang to the volleyball game? And so I was like, okay, this will be all right, because I didn't have a ride. I didn't look for a ride, but I didn't have a ride. So there's a girl named Missy. She was just like a sister to me. And so I went to her and I said, hey, do you want to ride with me? And she's like, you don't have a car. I said, I got Chuck's car. And she's like, yeah, oh yeah, I'll ride with you. So we went. There's 2 ways to go. One is kind of a bypass road, nobody around. The other is going right through the middle of town. So I took the bypass. No, went right through town. Windows down, and we were just having a great time. And we're riding through, we get to the school, we play volleyball, have a great time. My team won, I'm pretty sure, because I was in a good mood afterwards. And so we go back in the car and we leave, and we're going to head down, bypass, no, we're going through town. Because we want everybody to see us in this really, really awesome car. Well, I don't remember how far we got away, about 1.5 miles, 2 miles. And one of us forgot something. So we had to turn around and go back, which was okay, which meant I just got to drive more. So this is okay. So we turn around, we go back. Well, as I'm getting ready to pull into the school, narrow driveway, cars are coming out of the school. I want to make sure that I don't hit a car. And so I cut the corner a little too sharp, and there's a ditch with a big concrete drain pipe. And we went through that thing like we were four-wheeling. Okay, I mean, we hit and came up out of it, which I'm thinking I cannot get stuck because that would be embarrassing. So I stomped the gas, which was awesome. So I'm throwing gravel, and we're going down, and I'm like, hey, everything's good, but it gets stuck. So we get to the school, we step out, I go around the car, and Missy's just standing like this. And I'm going, well, what in the world is wrong with the car? And I walk around the front of the car, and I come and I look, and there, the whole front quarter panel is dented in. Whole thing. There is grass in the rims. I mean, I have annihilated this car. And I stood there and physically got weak at my knees. Grabbed like the hood of the car, I'm like, I'm going to be sick. And so we go in, we get the stuff, and the whole time I think it was Missy, because the whole time I'm thinking, you haven't got your stuff. I would have had to come back, this is all your fault, but I didn't say it. So we get back to school, that's Thursday night. Chuck's not coming back until Sunday night. My Friday, my Saturday, and my all-day Sunday was horrible. I dreaded Chuck coming back. This was before cell phones. I didn't have any way to get a hold of him, but I knew when he came back, I was going to have to walk to his apartment and go to him and go, dude, I wrecked your car. And it ate at me for those next 3 days. Oh, it was one of the worst things ever. Chuck came back, saw the van pull in. It was on the other side of how I parked, so he couldn't see it. I could have waited until Monday, but I needed some sleep. I hadn't slept for the last 3 nights. So I went to Chuck and I said, dude, I got something I got to tell you. I got really, really bad news. He's like, man, what's up? You okay? I was like, yeah, I'm okay. The car's not. He's like, what? The car's fine. I'm like, no, I drove in the ditch. He's like, come on, are you serious? I'm like, oh, I'm not kidding. So we go outside. It's dark, so he's got a flashlight. He's looking, and he just kind of goes, oh. I mean, that was it. He didn't yell. He didn't holler. I was hoping he would punch me in the face. That would make me feel better. He's just like, that's why I got insurance. That's worse than somebody getting mad at you. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, no, get mad. Yell at me. And maybe on the inside he did, but he was like, that's why I got insurance. It's okay. He wasn't even going to make me pay the deductible. But at least I did that. I was like, man, no way. This is not going to cost you. I dreaded having to tell Chuck that I'd messed up something I borrowed. It reminds me of a story in Matthew chapter 25. If you want to turn there, you can. Matthew chapter 25 is the whole same idea, where a man is going to loan some money to servants. And then there's going to be an accounting at the end. Matthew chapter 25. We're going to start in verse 14. Matthew chapter 25. Beginning in verse 14. This is Jesus talking. He said, again, it will be like a man going on a journey who called his servants and entrusted his property to them. To one he gave 5 talents of money, to another 2 talents, and to another 1 talent, each according to his ability. Now, it's hard for us, masters, servants, talents, okay. So let's just say that there was a boss. And the boss had some employees, and he called his employees in, and to one he says, I'm going to give you 5 bags of gold. While I'm gone, use it. Gives another one 2 bags of gold. While I'm gone, use it. Another one he gives 1 bag of gold. Now you use this while I'm gone. And he went off on his journey. While he was going on his journey, the one with 5 bags of gold, he took it, he used it, and he made 5 more bags of gold. And so 5 plus 5 is, he's got 10 bags of gold that he's going to be able to give to the boss. The one that had 2, he went out, he used it, he got 2 more bags of gold, so 2 plus 2 is, he had 4 bags of gold. 4 bags that he was going to be able to give to his master when he came back. The last guy, he had just 1 bag of gold. And he knew that his boss expected a lot. He was a hard man. And so he thought, you know what, I got to keep this stuff safe. So he dug a hole and he buried it. Said, at least that way nothing's going to happen to it. I'll give it back to him. That's all I can do. Well, at some point, the boss comes back. He calls these 3 together. And the one with 5, he says, sir, listen, while you were gone, I took your 5 and made you 5 more. You got 10. The boss said, well done, good and faithful servant. You've been faithful with a few things. I'm going to give you a lot of things. Come and enjoy your boss's happiness. The one with 2 came and he said, look, you gave me 2. I now have 4. Here's 4 for you. And he said, well done, good and faithful servant. Now you've been faithful with just a few things. I'm going to put you in charge of many things. Come and enjoy your boss's happiness. And then the last guy, he steps forward. And I could just see him now with a bag of gold. He's beginning to try to get the dirt off of it. And he says, listen, boss, I knew you were tough. You expected a lot. I mean, you don't accept failure. And so I was afraid. And so I took your money and I buried it. So here's your bag of gold. You didn't lose anything. The boss said, you wicked, lazy servant. He said, the least you could have done was put it in the bank. It would have gotten interest. At least I would have made interest, but I don't have anything. And he commanded that he be thrown out of his presence. Now, whenever Jesus tells these stories that he calls parables, there's always a meaning for us. It's always something that we should draw out of it. So obviously the boss would be God. The employees would be you and I. And the money would be anything that God has given to us. Now, I noticed some things in this story that's pretty awesome. First thing I noticed was that when he gave out those gifts, those bags of gold, everything that he gives to us, he gave 1 5, he gave 1 2, and he gave 1 1. But it says that he gave to them each according to their ability. He gave to them based on their track record. And the guy that got 5 obviously was able to handle money well. He had seen that, and so he gave him a lot. The one with 2, he did fairly well. The one with 1 maybe struggled with managing money and stuff, and so he only gave him 1. He gave to each of them according to their ability. And I believe he does the same thing with you and me. And if God gives still based on our ability, and we look and go, well, I just don't have as much as people around me, maybe it's because God's seen your track record. And he said, you're not faithful with just a little bit of stuff, and so I can't give you a lot of stuff because you won't be able to handle it. Because God gives based on our ability. So he gives 5, he gives 2, he gives 1. What I think is neat is when he calls the employees in, and the one with 5, he gives his 5 plus 5, and the 2 gives his 2 plus 2. He gives them the very same reward. He says the same thing to them. Well done, good and faithful servant. You've been faithful with just a little. I'm going to put you in charge of a lot. Come and enjoy your master's happiness. They got the exact same thing. His happiness wasn't based on how much they made. His joy was based on what they did with what he gave them. Whether it was a lot or whether it was a little. And I believe that if that guy with 1 had even come up with just interest, just something where he showed God that he used what he gave him, He said the same thing. Well done, good and faithful servant. It's not the amount that God is concerned with. It's whether or not we use it, and we use it well. Why? Because He gives according to our ability, but He's going to reward us based on what we do. On trying to do our very best. I don't know about you, but sometimes I get a little jealous. I drive by car dealerships like you guys do. I see big old trucks. It drives me crazy seeing kids drive trucks. So I'm like, you don't even have a job, but you got a truck, give me great. Of course, they might be in their 20s, and they're still chaps to me. But I get jealous of things sometimes. I get jealous of hearing what people have and all these things. And I think that's just a natural tendency that we go through as humans. When we look at people, we go, man, look at all this stuff you got, and I don't have all that. But it's interesting how we only do that with things that are good. You know what I'm saying? When was the last time you said, God, it's not fair I don't have cancer? Really wish I had a good bout of cancer that I could deal with, God. God, you know what? I'm really disappointed that I have not been destroyed financially. I'm really disappointed, God. It's not fair that I haven't lost my job. God, it's not fair that my wife didn't cheat on me, my husband didn't cheat on me. It's not fair that my kids haven't run off and lost their minds or doing all kinds of things. Maybe they're even in jail. You notice it's all okay if it's bad. It's only the good things that we go, God, wait a minute, where's my blessing? Where's my raise? Where's my strong marriage and my good kids? Now remember, God gives according to our ability. I believe He gives to us when He knows we can handle what He gives, good and bad. There are times God allows bad things to come in. But I believe He does that to strengthen our faith, to strengthen our resolve to turn to Him during difficult times. See, what you and I have got to understand is, I'm a manager, not an owner. Okay, we are supposed to manage the things that God has given to us, whether it's money, whether it's stuff or possessions, whether it's our time, whether it's people that He puts in our lives. We are to manage those. We don't own those. Nobody understands that more than parents who have to watch their kids leave the nest. When you have to watch them walk out of the door and go on their own. And many of you know exactly what that feels like. You go, we gave birth to them. They're ours. We've been paying for them for 18, 19, 20, 30, 40 years. However long. We've been paying and investing. But then they walk out that door and you realize they were never ours in the first place. God just loaned them to us for a time. We're managers. We're not owners. That's what we've got to understand. Because if we don't, we will hold on to it so tightly that if it gets snatched out of our hands, it's going to rip our hands apart. We're going to have a hard time holding on to God, which is what God says to us. No matter what happens in your life, no matter the difficulty or the struggles that you are having in your life, you hold on to me. Because I'm going to bless you. I'm going to give to you. I'm going to make sure that you have everything that you need. Not that you want, but everything that you need. He promises, I'll give that to you. But understand the things that He gives to us, we are going to be accountable to Him for. Listen, Romans chapter 2 and verse 6 says, God will repay each person according to what they have done. Okay, God is going to repay us according to what we've done, how we've managed the things that He's given to us. Now listen, let me say this and make sure you understand. I'm not talking about your salvation. Okay, don't think, okay, I've got to make sure I do enough because God's going to reward me based on what I do. So if I want to get into heaven, I've got to do all of these good things. This is not your salvation we're talking about. This is your stuff that we're talking about. This is the resources that have come into your life. That's the thing I'm talking about. And God's going to reward you based on what you do with what He gives. So if you constantly find yourself struggling for money, maybe not giving enough. If you constantly find yourself struggling in your job, and you're just trying to not have to do so much and get out of work as much as possible, then maybe that's why you're not getting a promotion. Man, if you're having a struggle in your marriage, maybe it's because you're not pouring into your marriage. Maybe if your kids are rebelling against you, maybe it's because of who you set yourself up as a slave driver, as you follow the rules or you get out. See, God's going to repay us according to what we do. And I believe that God just blesses some people with more and more resources because they know how to use it. But the first thing you got to understand, before we continue in this series over the next 3 weeks, is that I'm a manager, not an owner. And that's not hard, right? I'm a manager, not an owner. Would you guys say that with me? I am a manager, not an. One more time. I am a manager, not an. Okay, get that in your mind. If you do, life will be so much better. So all you've got to do is your best. All you got to do is be faithful to God. And He's going to repay you for your faithfulness. God may not give you riches in this lifetime. You may never be at the place where you can buy all the things that you want, that you can retire and just live high on the hog. God may never give you those kind of riches, but listen, God loved you so much that He gave you His Son. His only Son. To die on a cross. To take your sins upon Him, to pay the price that you and I were supposed to pay. He did that so that you and I can spend an eternity with Him. In a place where gold is pavement, because they make roads out of it. God loved you so much that He allowed His Son to take your place. And if God never did another thing for me, I still need to spend my life being grateful and thankful and managing whatever it is that He brings into my life. If for no other reason than that He gave me Jesus. How about you? If it all stopped today, if we never got anything else, if we never got any more money or resources or friends or family, would we still be grateful to God for what He's given us in our past? You know, I think it's easy for us to look at other people and think about how rich they are. We don't realize how rich we probably are. I decided that I wanted to come up with the amount of money that I had made since I graduated from college. Now, I don't have W-2s that far back. I couldn't get it all figured out that way. But I just decided I'm going to say that I made $45,000 a year. Now, I didn't start off making that. I made less. But then, since then, I have made more. And so I think it evens out. And I just said, if I made $45,000 a year, how much money would I have made in the last 26 years? Mind-boggling. I'd be a millionaire. Because I've made $1.1 million in that amount of time. Is that unbelievable? Some of you have made less. Some of you have made much more. That doesn't include when Manna was working outside of the home. Doesn't include gifts of money that people have given us all throughout our marriage and our lives and things like that. It doesn't even include that. And I've been a millionaire. But I look at other people and I say, look at how God blesses them. I just need to look at my own bank account and realize how much God has blessed me. And when we see that, when we understand that, not from somebody else's point of view, but from our point of view, it should make being a manager much easier than being an owner. Because God continually pours into my life. And He pours into your life. It's just time for us to take notice. But He poured His Son into your life. You are filthy rich because of that one gift. We are managers, not owners. Bow your heads with me. God, thank you that you give to us so generously. Thank you for how you've put resources, people, time into our lives, and you allow us to use it. Just ask us to do our very best. And you promise to reward us than we do. So I pray, Father, that as we begin this new series, that we will realize that you're the owner. We just manage the things that you've given to us. We want to manage them in a way that they don't come between us and you. They don't fight for position in our lives, but we give you first place. So as we go into this time of decision, as we look at our own lives, Father, may you speak to our hearts. May we hear your voice. We pray all these things in Jesus' name.